this young man, he's been kind enough to kind of give us some of his time to literally talk about his journey and also as well the journey of Saha. Loks, the founder of Saha. How you doing, sir?
Yes, Therese. Thank you for the warm welcome, man. I appreciate it. Lovely catching up with you. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's nice to, like I said, catch up and yeah, man, have a good chat and see how things are and give you a bit of an insight of who I am a bit more in detail. But yeah, man, appreciate the warm welcome, bro.
How was kind of football viewed in your household, and if you've got any siblings, where are you in that pecking order?
Okay, so I've got an older sister. But I have to admit, we don't really get along, and we haven't. And I'm 33, she's 35, and we've never really got along. And that just kind of, I wouldn't say separate us, but she's quite quiet and reserved. She does her own thing. Whereas I've always been pushing myself to the next level and trying to be better as a person. But at the same time, we just wasn't connected as your normal siblings. Um, and yeah, man, like she's doing her thing. I don't really speak to her that much, but I know she's good. I do check in, obviously, see how she is. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as a family. And obviously, in terms of like where I'm from Mauritius, and I was born there. And it was I was actually meant to live in Mauritius, to be honest, like permanently. There was no like moving to the UK and then like my mum one stage said, look, we need to move to the UK, and my dad. So they managed to get us over here, when I was at the age of like 3. And, English was a new language to my mum. My dad was all right. His English was decent. He was like normal taxi driver. Mum was a cleaner at a hospital. And literally a year in, and I was 92. So I was born in 89. So I was 3. And my sister is 3 years older, so she's 6. My dad passed away. And that was very soon after we'd moved to the UK. And bear in mind, like my mum didn't really speak English at all. Now she's got to look after me and my sister by herself in a country where she don't even speak the language. So growing up was tough. It weren't easy because we were fortunate. I think we were blessed, if I'm honest with you, because we managed to have good neighbors around us and they were the ones that supported us, if I'm honest with you. So because my mum couldn't really speak English, she needed the help of the basic stuff. And I'm talking going shopping or putting us into school or even paying our bills. Just things along these lines where if we didn't have that help, I don't know where we'd be today. And as you're growing up as a child and you're seeing this and you're starting to connect with your neighbors and stuff, they become your family. They literally were our family, and we had to make sure that we had to kind of put our full trust into them at the same time, because they're the ones that are going to try and get us through life. And like I said, we were blessed with neighbors growing up. For me, I was fortunate enough to get into school. I mean, primary school. And yeah, I think that's when I started playing football and enjoying it. And I used to go to the local park. And I think sport was a good healing process. Yeah, I think sport was a very, very good healing process through everything we had been through, from like moving to England and my dad passing away and so forth. And yeah, like I said, football was the sport played on playgrounds, etc. So playing football and just enjoying it. And it kind of then overtook education a bit, because I started really enjoying football, where I'd come home and I'd ask my mum, like, oh, can I go to the park and play football and not worry about doing my homework? And then, yeah, that's how I just started playing football a lot as a young child. And then again, like, I'd want to like play for a team. And funny enough, I went to school one day and I was like, one of my friends, he was like, oh, do you want to come and play for our team? And I was like, I'd love to, but I can't really get there. Like, we have no mode of transport. My mum doesn't really know how to use a bus. And And then he was like, oh, let me speak to my mom and see if like we can pick you up and take you to football. And even at that time, it's interesting because when you're in an Asian household, like they don't believe in football. You know, Asians don't believe in your children or your son being a footballer. They believe in education. Education to become a doctor, a lawyer, a solicitor, you name it, but nothing to do with football. So for me, it's like I want to go and play for a football team, but my mum's probably thinking, why is he going football? But again, because we're just trying to get through life, she's just going with the flow, you know, because she's just thinking, all right, if he wants to do football and he's found a friend, we trust him and trust him and his mum, and let's take him to football. And I think at that time as well, because my mum felt, you know, like she just wants the best for us, regardless, you know, life is tough as it is. If he wants to go football, let him go. So she allowed me to, you know, go to football with a friend and join a little league team. And then as we obviously started getting older, we were able to start using the bus and understand how the bus works and the train and so forth. So then my mum would come with me, you know, and she'd have faith in me as a 12 or 13-year-old to go to games or little league or Sunday league together. And yeah, like that's kind of how the football journey kicked off, really. And then the passion just grew, wanted to play like at a better level as I was getting to the 14, 15s, whether it was like under 18s, semi-pro, like your Carl Shortens, Tooting and Mitchums. And then, yeah, man, I think like, obviously as I get to like 14, 15, I become a lot wiser, older, maturer, and effectively I'm like the man of the house. And, you know, I think throughout that, like, should I say, suffering, healing process, that's where my mentality grew to like, right, you obviously have been through this, but now you can stand on your own 2 feet and create your own future. Whether that's football, work, doctor, solicitor, you know. And that's where, like, one of the things for me was at the age of 14, 15, like you have like flashbacks. So when I was like 8 or 9 or 7, we'd have to go shopping, right? Like food shopping. And we had a neighbor who was very, very kind. And to this day, like I see them as parents because of the way they looked after us. If they weren't available, we would have to go shopping by ourselves. And in the winter months, you know, it was cold, it was raining, it was me, my mum, and sister. And literally we'd be walking through blizzards to like Sainsbury's and back to do shopping. And it was tough. Like it wasn't easy doing that as a young child. You don't know if you're going to be safe, you know, on your trip. You don't know, like what time you're going to be back because you got school the next day. You know, so for me and my sister, it was a big challenge, but it taught us so much at the same time. It taught us so much. So going back to that story, because of how difficult that was, it drove me insane to want to get a driving license.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
there, after going through that, I thought, do you know what? As soon as I hit 17, I'm going to do everything it takes to get a job and make sure I can fund like theory and get a car because I want to be able to take my mum and my sister shopping. I don't want to be still scrambling, walking to Sainsbury's and back, you know. And yeah, bro, as soon as I turned 17, just before that, I'd started a job at Phones for You. So I was saving a bit of money, waiting for the time I'm 17 to do my theory and my lessons. And I did. I literally didn't really spend a penny and just saved up. And yeah, bro, literally just, I think I failed the first time and I passed the second time. So I think I smashed it out from when I turned 17 in like 2 months. You know, like I mean, lessons, theory, and practical. I was so motivated to doing that, you know. And then obviously, when I did finally pass and get myself my first car, you know, the world was my oyster then. I could drive to football. I could take my family here. You know, I could go and visit family and stuff and know that we're safe and we don't have to worry about when the next bus is going to come or what time are we actually going to get home. And that's when, you know, then I thought, right, well, I need to get myself into college. So I had to push myself into college, and I did a sports science diploma. Again, just because of the sports, the football that I was enjoying, I thought, let me do something that I enjoy. And I did sports science at college, A levels, and that went really well. Really enjoyed college, made a lot of really good friends, some who I still speak to this day, to be fair. And I'm part of Saha, and then after that, yeah, uni after that, started university, and then that was an interesting time because at that time I was at roadblocks, man. I didn't really know what to do, like in terms of career. But at the same time, I think going through all of this, like college, uni, for me, the most important thing was whatever I do, I just want to make sure my mum's happy because she has done everything it took to get me where I am now. So now it's time for me to give back to her, So I want her to be proud on what I've done, and I want her to be happy with whatever I achieve. So if I'm honest with you, after college, I didn't want to go to uni. Like, I wanted to just get a full-time job and just work, man, and just earn. But I knew that that wouldn't make my mum happy. What would have made her happy is me going to uni, getting a degree, regardless of what degree it was. So when I did actually start university, I just made sure I did something I was passionate about and I'd know I'd complete, which was sports science, because I did that at college. And then, yeah, I started university, and at that time I was playing for the university football team. And like I said, at that sort of time I'm driving, I've got my own independence a bit, which was good. And then, yeah, man, I was at roadblocks, and you know what? It's mad. I always said to myself at that sort of time in my life, I was like, I want to be a physiotherapist. I don't know why. I think at that time I thought that was the closest thing to football because I knew I couldn't make it. I played at a decent level at like 17, 18, 19. But after that, like for me, it was like, university and then just get yourself a job because that's what your mum wants. And I think because of everything growing up, bro, I just knew that was the right thing. I wasn't going to try and do a football career in like something which I didn't believe I could. I didn't believe I could make it either, if I'm honest with you. Even though it's every child's dream, I didn't believe I could make it.
Why is
Even
that?
though, I think of obviously you've got the whole Asian thing, the whole Asians can't play football, they should be playing cricket, or Asians aren't good enough to be in the Premier League. And then obviously growing up watching football, you're not seeing any Asians on TV. So straight away you've got not the best of hopes. And funny enough, you know what? When I was a child, and this was like when my mum decided to take me to a trial to some random Saturday team, I think I was like 11, 12. And I went to the trial and I was lost. I didn't know where I was going. And my mum was like, where are you going? Like, where are you taking us? Just in a park in Balham. And we saw some guys. And the first thing they said to us was, you here for the cricket? And I was like, nah, we're here for a football trial,
Yeah.
and then, like I found my way and stuff. But those experiences kind of made me realize, like, football probably won't work for you. Maybe for your kids or the next generations of Asians, maybe. But where I was and what I experienced, I didn't have the belief, not so much in my ability, but what I experienced. I just thought the chances are very, very slim.
Wow. Oh
I
wow.
told you I
Okay.
could talk to Reese.
Wow.
I told you I could
Okay.
talk.
Okay. I've got bro. I've got a lot to. Okay. So
It's a lot to take in, isn't it?
yes, bro. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
So moving from Mauritius to England at 3, and then going to school or going to primary school. What was your first? I mean, can you remember like the first couple of days at primary school? Again, with the teachers and the pupils and not speaking English. I mean, what was your initial feeling?
It was hard because at home, like we wouldn't speak English. We'd speak Creole, which is the language, like spoken French. That's like the Mauritian language. Now, I remember like when my mum was telling me, you're going to be in school. And at that time, she was like, all right, I'm gonna get one of the neighbors to take you to school. And one of the neighbors is gonna take you to school and pick you up and stuff. So I always remember the first day because I remember we were getting picked up from a neighbor at that time as a child you're not really familiar with, and they're taking you to school and so forth. But again, like just going back to what I said, is we always go with the flow and we had to
Mm.
trust in people, and we were blessed that that it was the right people around us. um so when we were going to school, we just kind of just got on with it, and then when they'd pick us up and drop us home, just get on with it. Because my mom was like an older mum, so she wasn't as fit. She was probably physically drained mentally after my dad passed away. She still can't speak the language, so if she does take me to school and the teacher starts saying, oh, your son wasn't like good today, she ain't gonna have a clue like what the teacher's even saying. So luckily she met one of our neighbors who was Mauritian actually. And sometimes you think, how ironic, you've got a neighbor that's Mauritian. And they're the ones that would take us to school and bring us back, and they would feed back to my mum and so forth. And obviously, as time went on, my mum's English did get a little bit better because then me and my sister would start teaching her a bit of English, and you should speak like this and so forth. But yeah, I remember the first day. It was hard because it was a neighbor that dropped us off, and then, like I said, we just adapted. We just got on with it, went with the flow, and it was interesting because my primary school was a primary school that only went up to year three. It wasn't a primary school that went up to year six,
Mm.
because primary schools is from reception to year six. That's the norm. But my primary school went up to year three. So when we finished in year three, like my neighbor had to come and say, look, we need to get your children into middle school now because
Middle
that's the
school,
next
bro.
step. Yeah.
You know what? People don't know about middle school. Like when I say
Nah, do
middle
you know what?
school,
People don't.
honestly, like, because I went to middle school and people are like, "What's that?" I'm like, "You never went to middle school?" They went, "No, we went straight to high school." I'm like, "Raw, no, like I literally went from primary to middle to high."
To high school, yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. And when I tell people that, they say the same thing. They ain't got a clue what I'm
they got
saying.
a clue, bro.
So obviously it's year four to year seven, middle school. Then you start secondary school at year eight.
Yes,
But now that
Mhm.
education system is different. It's year one to
Different,
year,
bro.
or reception to year six, year seven to year
Mm.
11. That's it. I don't even think middle school exists anymore.
Nah, it doesn't exist, bro. It's
Yeah,
mad. It's mad.
that
So
is.
I mean, wow. So I mean, again, you you like spoke very openly about the relationship with your older sister. But you also felt at the age of 13, 14, 15 that you was the man of the house, and like you also had to take responsibility of everyone as well. I'm
Yeah.
sure that there was kind of a conversation between you and your sister about responsibilities, roles, chores, making sure mum's okay. I mean, how did like all of that conversation go?
Do you know what? If I'm honest, there was no conversation. And it kind of goes back to going with the flow. So my mum she didn't have a way of bringing us up. And I think that's one thing I've learned over the last few years, like when I've, spoken to like my missus or other families and stuff, is everyone has a way of being brought up. So, for example, when I've spoken to my missus, for example, she would say to me, like when we would come back from school, would all sit at the dinner table and eat at six. Like that's just a set rule that they'd have. They've been brought up that way, and then it would be homework time, and then it would be probably bedtime. But with us, there was no rules. It was you come home, and then my mum would be like, okay, let me cook now. And then whenever it's done, we'll eat. And then, whenever it's time, we'll sleep. But that wouldn't happen every day, because on certain days, it's like, okay, so now we need to go shopping because things have run out. So we've got to go shopping today. And we've just come back from school, so it's like, okay, cool. So we've got to go shopping. Um, so I think me and my sister just kind of learned to go with, like I said, we've just gone with the flow, and had to just learn. That was literally learning rather than being brought up away, was learn away, you know. And then as we got older, yeah, me and my sister would split duties, so as we got older, like when it comes to like letters, council tax, certain things, we'd be like, oh, mum, you got to pay your council tax, so you got to pay your gas and electrics. And then my sister would be like, all right, yeah, well, I'll do the call and, so forth. So, yeah, as we got older, I think we definitely split duties and roles, but leading up to the time when we were capable to do that, it was just go with the flow. I can't emphasize enough how much we literally every day was just, yeah, let's just get through today,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then moving on from, of course, starting to play football and whatnot, and then I want to. This is something that really stuck out to me because again, a lot of people will not know of the shop phones for you. People do not know that shop phone, phones for you. And I remember anyone that works for phones for you has, they had to be really good at sales because it was kind of
Yeah.
commission based. So getting into that role and getting into that environment, what did that teach you?
Do you know what? I was having this conversation with someone the other day, actually, someone I hired, funny enough. Phones for you, I would say, has a big part to play in terms of who I am today, because that was my first ever job, first of all. So, obviously interview, dressing up in a suit, so forth.
Yeah, bro.
First time for all of that. You know what
Hey,
I mean?
was for you,
And I'm
bro.
16, and yeah, I had my interview, and if I'm honest, I did what I thought I had to do, like in terms of I prepared, as much as I could and tried to answer the questions. And after the interview, I just thought, I don't think I did well, and I'm probably not going to get the job. But then I got the call a few days later, and they said you got the job, and I was buzzing, over the moon, because as much as obviously I had to work part time, for me is I want to start earning to make money to be able to provide for my family, like I said about the car and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But phones for you, I would say, and I would say it sells. It taught me so much in life. When you're trying to sell a phone to a customer, you obviously have to speak to them face to face. You have to try and convince them. It's almost like you need to try and control them, because someone might come in and then they might not be intending to buy. They might just be coming to browse. But as a salesman, your job is to convince them to buy. So I'm going to be there trying to sell them a phone. They might not be interested. Cool. When the next customer comes in, do they want to buy? Nope. They want to go to that person. So they don't want to be served by me. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next
Yeah.
person comes in. They just want to buy credit. They don't even want to buy a phone.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
doing that
Oh,
repetitively
nice.
every day, it taught me so much, like communication, common courtesy, presentation, wearing a shirt and tie and presenting yourself in the right way. It taught me so much. And I think that job boosted my confidence so much that I was ready then to, go for another interview, or I was ready to take on any other job, because I learned so much in that period. As a 16-year-old, I was there for like 2-3 years, so a good amount of time, and taught, so much that, yeah, it does help you, because sales is something that people say you've got the gift of the gab when it comes to talking, but you're not born with that. You're not born with the gift of the gab. You obviously have to experience things in life to be able to be more confident to have the gift of the gab. And that experience taught me that in life, if you can talk and you can talk, whether it's rubbish or the truth or good, you can convince anything to anyone.
And also as well, it's the fear of rejection as well. That's why a lot of people don't succeed, because just hearing a no, it can be soul crushing. But for you, it's like, okay, you know what? Thank you very much. I'll actually move on. And actually, not a lot of people grasp that if you can handle someone saying no, then you know what, you are gonna win in life.
Yeah, spot on, man. Because everyone takes losses. No one just wins. You're always going to hear a yes or no at some point in your life, and whether it's a win or a loss. And I think when you do take so many L's because a customer doesn't want to buy a phone off you, or they're not interested in you serving them, you almost become immune to it. You almost become immune to hearing the word no, and it's like, okay, cool, I'll just move on to the next customer, or I'll just wait for the next customer. And don't get me wrong, there's times when I used to work at Phones for You, and I used to see someone new that joins Phones for You, and they would last like 2-3 weeks just because they just like, nah, sales is not for me. And the reason why sales wasn't for them is because they couldn't sell. But the reason they couldn't sell is because they couldn't accept constantly being told no. You know, because the more you get told no, the more it will teach you how to start getting yeses. If you get no nos and you're just getting yeses, yeses, yes, 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 and then someone turns up and says no, you're gonna be like, oh, hold on, what do I do now? Like someone said no. But if you keep getting no's, or you're repetitively getting no's, you get a few yeses, it kind of makes you more resilient, and more confident, and you start learning, what you should and shouldn't do, and like I said, you do become a bit immune to getting no's, man, and you accept it, and you think, yeah, I'll move on, it's fine.
Which college did you go to?
Carshalton.
Carshalton College. So
Yeah.
at Carshalton College, how was your social circle?
I had a good social circle. I would say, like I went to the football trials, I got in, and that kind of raises your prep a bit. Like it raises your rep a bit when you get into like the college or uni football team. And Carshalton College is not a big college; it's a small college. It's one campus, So eventually, like going in and out every day, you're kind of gonna see and know everyone, just because the college is so small. And then I'm playing for the football team, so I would say just that you kind of earn yourself a decent rep playing for your college team. And then, yeah, man, I had a good social circle. I knew a lot of people at Carshalton College, whether it's because of football, whether it was because I was always in the common room playing table tennis, and I'd play against random people, But again, that's a good thing because you're getting to network, you're making new friends. And yeah, I think college, and again, just before that, I'd started my new job. So the confidence was kind of there, I was open to speaking and getting to make new friends and so forth. So it was all right. It was good, man. I really, really enjoyed college, and college helped me a lot, again, with the social skills and so forth. And like I said, some of those boys that were close, or my circle, I still speak to.
And it's kind of so
Yeah.
important to kind of form those friendships at high school, at college, at university, because those are the people that like you're going to spar with in later on in life.
Yeah, that's it. Pinto.
Yes.
I met him at college.
Ah.
Yeah, so imagine with him, he was doing the same course as me, but he was 1 year above.
Seen. Okay.
And that's how I met him, because one day, our year and their year, I can't remember, went on a trip together, and that's how I met him. And then, like, we just stayed connected, and I still know him to this day.
Jay's funny.
And he's, yeah, man. So that gives you an example of how college, yeah, man, there's been some good people that have come out of it, and I've been able to like stay connected with them because they've been good people, man.
Yeah, of course, like the college to the kind of university jump, doing sports science, and you've kind of alluded to it. Was it again just to please your like mom, your sister, your kind of inner circle? I mean, what was that conversation like?
My mum always would say, you should go university, but there was never pressure on what I did, or there was never any, oh, you should do this, or you should take this course. Even if I'm honest with you, see, college, I enrolled in there myself. My mum, I don't even know my mum. I think my mum actually, weirdly, thought it was school and uni. I think that's like the American way.
Yes.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I think that's the Mauritius way as well. I don't think there's college. Like they don't call it college anyway. So I enrolled into college myself. I got my GCSEs. They were awful. Like my GCSEs were not great, but I still went into college, and then I thought, like, let me go uni. But there was never any pressure on what course, what to study. But it's just something my mum always wanted. And another reason why is because my sister wasn't the brightest at school, and she wasn't someone that enjoyed education. She was much more, should I say, she was someone who was just much closer to my mum. I think she would much rather have been next to mum than go anywhere. That she was just attached to her, growing up, really. So I think that kind of pushed me even further. Like, I got to kind of do this for the family rather than do this for myself. Because even around that sort of time, well, probably a bit earlier, like 13s, probably a bit younger than that, 11, 10s, my mum started becoming ill. High blood pressure. She had a stroke when I was 11. And then after that, I was told she had diabetes. And then when I turned like 17, 18, she was diagnosed with kidney failure. So her health was deteriorating. My sister wanted to be closer. So again, all of this building up inside me, it was like, nah, you got to go and do what your mum wants to do, or what your mum wants you to do. But there was never pressure on what. And I think that helped me so much because it allowed me to express what I enjoy, which was sport. So I did sports science, and kind of gets me to where I am now.
You graduated when, in 2000 and?
Boy, going back years. I think it was about 10 years ago. So 2012, I think it was, yeah.
2012. How was you feeling? And, did you have a plan in your head in terms of what you wanted to do?
I think proud was the moment, like when you're going up to pick up the scroll, you're proud. Because it's interesting, like when you're like, it was a really, really nice day. Like it was one of the best days I could say, ever, because it's a day that, I've definitely made my mum happy. I've made my family happy, and I've made myself happy as well. I've graduated amongst all the odds. Like if you look at me 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't think this guy would go uni, or 10 years ago, because of our upbringing. You wouldn't think that it was possible. So it was a very, very proud moment for our family, and yeah, just try to enjoy the most of the day. I wouldn't say there was any plan. It was just, yeah, let's just enjoy the day, get our photos. And yeah, it was just my mum was really, really happy. So was my sister, of course, as well. Yeah, so I would say, probably going back to the way we was growing up, we just went with the flow, and it was such a good day. Do you know what I mean? So we just went with the flow, and yeah, it was a beautiful day, man. It was a beautiful day.
How was your football journey from 2010 until when Saha was conceived?
So I was playing university football. I was playing Sunday league football as well for Cosmos United.
Okay, yes.
So, and they're a Mauritian based team, or like the manager or the roots of the football team is a Mauritian based team. And yeah, me and some of my close boys at the time, we all played for Cosmos, and we were flying, man. We were playing great football. We won the league back to back. We won the cup. And it was good. That was like weekend social football, and it was good at that time. And even after I left uni, I was still there. I was there for a few years, to be fair. So that was one team that we played for, and then one of my friends at university had started up his Sunday team, and he was just like, "Loks, man, I want you and Daz to come and play for us." And I was like, oh, I can't really leave Cosmos, man. I've been here for a while. I think I was just too in my comfort zone with Cosmos as well. And then I didn't end up going. Then the year after that, he was like, "Loks, please, man, you and Daz, come over like this year. Just give us 1 year." And I was like, "All right, cool." So we left Cosmos, and we come out of our comfort zone and joined them. What league were they in? They were in the Southern Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Southern Sunday. Okay. Whereas Cosmos were in the, I think at the time, Moulded District.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know if that league still exists.
Modern District doesn't exist. I think Modern District at the time was probably one of the biggest leagues, and I think the Southern Sunday was just starting. I'm not too sure if the Metropolitan. I think the Metropolitan League was around, but Modern District was the strongest league at that time.
Okay, yeah, that's the league we were in, and then when we went to join my friend's team, I can't even remember the name. Oh, Invictus. Invictus was the name of the team.
Invictus. Okay.
Yeah. So Southern Sunday, we did well. We won the league. We went to a cup final and then we lost. The year after, we won the league. And then what happened with Invictus? I made some really good friends there as well, actually. Um, then at Invictus, I went back to Cosmos. I can't remember why. I think, yeah, we just said, you know what, let's go back to Cosmos. Like the manager at Cosmos, he's been unbelievable to us. And, you know, he's always been a bit of a father figure, to be fair, to me and Daz, because we kind of followed each other everywhere from 18 all the way forward. We always played together. Um, went back to Cosmos. But the team weren't the same then. Like it wasn't as, you know, we weren't flying as we was before. We still played good football and win most of our games, but it just wasn't the same. And at that time is when Saha kind of started, you know, as in Sport and Health Academy, the sports coaching company. And whilst that was happening, um, it was funny actually. One of the schools I was in, the PE teacher there was a good friend of mine, and he was at Invictus as well. And he was like, "Oh man, have you ever thought about starting your own Sunday team?" I was like, "Not really, but you know, I've got a good network of friends. I've been blessed that I've been around good footballers growing up because I could definitely put something together." And he was like, "Yeah, like I'll manage it. You know, you can kind of fund it, call it Saha, so brand it as the company." I was like, "Yeah, it's a good idea." And I thought about it. I'm an R in. And I thought, yeah, let's do it, man. Let's get the boys together, and it'll be a good social on a Sunday. And he was like, let's go in the Croydon League, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, I didn't really know about what leagues were what existed at
Mm.
that time, so we went into the Croydon League, and then I think pre-season you have grading games. We played Croydon. I think we drew 3-3. We played another team. We won, and they thought, yeah, let's put you lot in Div 1 as opposed to the Prem. So we were like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And we were smashing teams. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, like it was double figures every game. Um, and it got so bad that the league had a meeting and we're like, you can't be in Division 1. And we're like, well, but you put us in Division 1, you know, after the grading games. And halfway through the season, we got moved to the Prem.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So
but
so
that's kind of how Saha started. It was literally a conversation with a friend of mine who's a PE teacher at school, who I played with at Invictus, and said let's set up a team, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then that's literally how Saha formed, and then just spread the word with all my friends. Everyone wanted to join, and it just kick-started that way.
so were you playing for Saha as well as doing the admin stuff? Like what was your role?
So to be fair, my friend was doing a chunk of admin, manager, and I was playing. I was just playing.
Okay.
He was doing, I would say, like 89% of the administration, managing, kit, balls, everything. I kind of just invested into it, if I'm honest. Like, I
Mm.
used, you know, the company. And for me, it's funny actually, because for me at the time as well, I thought, you know what? This would be a great marketing strategy because obviously nobody would have known about Sport and Health Academy at that time. But if there is a football team and we play against other teams, players who could potentially be sports coaches might wonder, oh, what's Sport and Health Academy? Google it and realize it's a sports coaching company and might want to come and work for Sport and Health Academy. So for me, it was more brand awareness. In the back of my head, it was brand awareness, get the brand out there, the name out there, and hopefully it manages to bring in um, potentially coaches or, you know, future employees, colleagues. Yeah, and that was literally another main reason why I wanted to do it was the marketing aspect. But my friend was very, very like optimistic about where we could take it and winning the league and the cups and so forth. So yeah, both our ideas together, we just thought, let's do it.
We can probably safely say that you was thinking ahead regarding how Sunday league teams promote themselves and market themselves. You was kind of looking at the back end and thinking, hey, like this is like something that could be again opened up to potential coaches, and they're going to help Saha the football club, but also Saha the business.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that was my thinking, Liz. If it can help the business, because if I can get coaches or I might play against teams and they might be PE teachers and they work in schools and they might say, oh, do you want to come and work in our school? So it was literally a marketing plot to just get the brand out there and potentially either get into schools or, be able to hire more coaches. And yeah, that was kind of the thinking behind it at the start.
What's been the most challenging thing at Saha? Like, what's kind of been your most happiest moment?
Probably our first season when we won the cup final. It was our first season in existence. It was the same season we got moved from Div to the Prem, and we knew we couldn't win the league. It was too much. We'd done our homework when we joined the league, so we knew all the good teams and not so good teams. So we kind of prepared. But then halfway through the season, when we got moved to the Prem, it was like, whoa, we're starting from scratch, and these teams have already climbed however many places and achieved as many points. And we knew like Boss Jam were the top team. And, we didn't feel it was the right time to be in the Prem, but it is what it is. I know it might sound like that doesn't make sense, but when you prepare for a season, you prepare for the teams you're going to play against, and then you kind of will try and look at your opposition's results, etc. But then to get moved to the Prem halfway through, yeah, it was like that work hadn't been done on the Prem. So where did we finish in the league? I didn't think we had a bad finish. I think we finished fourth or third. And the team that won it that year went undefeated, Boss Jam. And they were a very, very good team that year. Very, very good team. And we played them in the semi-finals and we beat them 1-0. And then we had a cup final against Croydon. And that final was unreal. Like, yeah, we ended up winning 3-1. But it was just an unbelievable experience. And like I said, to date, I think, yeah, that was the best experience so far I've had with Saha. On the field anyway. Off the field, I've had so many good experiences. I've made so many friends that people are called family now. And yeah, but I'd say that's the best moment for me.
Okay. And the most challenging?
There's a lot. Do you know what? The two things that come to my head, I think the two biggest challenges, and it's, I don't know if you'd call it cliche, but one of them is players arriving on time. I've learned it's something you just can't teach. It's something you just can't teach.
Yeah.
Like, you can put in anything, fines and what have you, it don't work. And the next one is collecting subs. Yeah. Like, those two things are challenging on different accounts. And me being who I am, I thought, all right, in this day and age, cashless society, people have cards. No one really has money with them. Cool. So I thought, all right, let me get a card machine. And now there's no excuses. Now you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you.
Bro, I know. Listen, I know.
Bro, so we got a card machine and we would go to players, say, right, £5, £5, £5. Now, I'm not going to say who this player is, but there's one player in our club. What he does is he'll get on his phone and he'll log into his online banking. He'll transfer all of his money out.
Oh, Jesus
and put it into another...
Christ. No.
And then when it's time to tap,
wow.
It's declined. And then what can you do when that happens? Like, what can you actually do? You just got to be like, all right, cool, like, it's declined next week. But this is something which I witnessed, and I'm just like, I can't challenge this. Like, I'm not going to tell you what you're doing, but if that's what you do, cool. Like, there's nothing we can do. And sometimes those challenges, like I said, that and people being late, like, you can't teach these things in Sunday League. Like, if you tell someone to be there at 9:30, but they're always there at 10, and you're putting in fines and and they still come, what can you do? If people aren't willing to change, you can't change them. You can offer them as much support, advice, guidance. And I think that's one thing that's taught me about Sunday League and some other life skills, is that you can always be there to help people and, support them and guide them in any way, shape or form. But if they're not willing to change, there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. And I think that's one of the biggest challenge.
And especially now listening to your journey, and you said it a few times, trust. Like you like trusted your like neighbors, you like trusted the people around you, and then when you're giving that trust to like players who literally play for your club, and literally they are not giving you that trust back, it must be soul destroying. It must be.
100%. I mean, I don't even manage the teams. Do you know what I mean? We've got like Yusuf, Roger, Rocky, so forth, and they obviously do that. And obviously, I just go and support where I can, whether it's with our first, our X1s. I just, if I can play, I'll play. And I feel it for them sometimes. I do, because they put in so much. And you got to remember with like Sunday League, it's voluntary. You know, people are taking times out of their lives, commitments, families to do this for others. And then when they're not getting it back, you know, like coming on time or being able to pay a fiver or, you know, like giving their all on the pitch, it's like, really? Like, you know, you really, like, is that what you give to us? Because as managers or chairmen or secretaries, this isn't just we turn up and then we walk away. You know, we've got to prepare your fixture. We've got to sort out your kit. We've got to make sure the opposition's ready, the refs and so forth. You know, but I think that's one thing is, and that's one of the challenges is sometimes you don't get the same in return from players. And it's frustrating to see. Like I said, it is frustrating because I see how much work managers put in. And, you know, you see it, like, even when I play against teams and I see how players react to their managers or how they might speak to their managers. And it's like, do you actually know how much your manager puts in for you to make sure this game goes on? And I think that's always going to be a challenge. I think it's always a challenge. You know, some teams, you know, are not like that. They all pay their subs and they all arrive on time and so forth. So they probably have different challenges. But for me, that's definitely the biggest challenge I've seen at Saha.
When was the last time you cried?
Cried. Interesting one. Cried, you know. Probably when Tottenham beat Arsenal. Yeah. When you say cry, like I mean, like you mean emotionally or tears of
listen,
joy?
I mean, you know what I mean. It could be tears of joy. It could be tears of despair. Because you know, of course, you've kind of again spoken openly about your like childhood, and you know, it must have been hard. And literally, where you are now, it's absolutely amazing. And but again, you know, there like must have been. Well, I'm just assuming that there must have been some really dark moments as well where you could have felt under pressure and sad.
There is, man. Especially when you run your own business, there's pressure every day. There is tough times behind, ahead, present, and now with how busy work is, like every day is serious like challenge and stress. But I think, like I said, with growing up, the obstacles we faced, phones for you, finding a way through education, it's taught me that there's always light under the tunnel. And if you remain positive, there's always a solution. And I think that is one of the reasons I've probably become so resilient. I mean, I've had arguments with my missus, and then she's like, "Wow, like you don't even like feel certain things emotionally." And I'm like, "Do you know what? I probably don't, because I think my experience growing up, I went through far too much to worry about that or be emotional over that, you know, because like I said, I've been through life growing up where it looked like there was no way out, or it looked like survival was looking slim, but there was a way out. So now, yeah, man, like the crying question is you throw me off, because if I'm honest with you, crying, like, you know, my mum sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And again, with that, you know, I did the funeral and I had to lead the funeral and stuff and do a speech. But everyone will tell you there was no tears. For me, it was like, you know, my mum done so much for us. I'm going to be happy and embrace what she's done for us. it is emotional because obviously I'm gonna miss my mum for the rest of my life, and she's made me who I am today. But yeah, I think like the crying thing, it's weird because it's made me become so resilient and immune to so many situations that many would find emotional. And I've seen it. There's certain things when I would be in situations, I'd be with people, and they would break down or they'd be really upset, and I'd think, surely you're not upset over that, or that's not something that's knocking you down. Um, and I'm no right or no wrong to think that, because what they go through is what they go through, or the emotions they go through is what they go through. But again, because of my experience and growing up, like, yeah, and my friends will tell you, and my network will tell you that they they see very little emotion from me, very very little, because for me it's all about positivity and just moving on. Literally, turn a bad day into a good day. Don't just keep thinking about a bad day, and do things that make you happy, and so forth. Because that's kind of the way I had to grow up thinking. I mean, if I was always, fuming because my dad wasn't here and, we didn't know if we were going to be able to pay the bills or go shopping as a family, bro, like I said, God knows where we could have ended up being. But positivity got us through.
Mm.
You know?
And actually, that's a nice little segue in terms of moving on. You've moved on from the Alberton and Bromley League to the
Super
Sunday
League.
football. Yeah, we don't want to call it Super League because
Nah, of course.
it's a Sunday football league. I mean, how is that going for Saha?
It's good. It's a good experience, man. We're enjoying it. I think it's obviously a bit of a shock to the system because, so I mean, we've only had one game technically, but that's because last week it was London Cup. Our first game was a tough game against Hatcham. I wasn't there, so I didn't really actually get to see it, and I understand we weren't able to film, so the highlights or YouTube won't come out for it. I heard we went at the races, if I'm honest, and Hatcham were just a better team. On the day, they looked fitter, sharper, stronger on the day. Fair enough, we lost to maybe the better team on the day. Um, After that, we played Spartans in the London Cup. Obviously,
I've
the
seen the
rivalry with
highlights. Yeah,
Spartans. Yeah,
I've seen the
I
highlights.
wasn't at the game either, but that one there, I think that really knocked the players for six because it's a game they were really up for, and for whatever reason, to put it in a nutshell, it just sounded like Spartans had our number, and they had 9 men, and they beat us 3-0. And they beat us 3-0 last or 2 seasons ago when they had 11 men, and it's just, I don't know. We've just got to find a solution, not Spartans, but generally to overcome certain games. Spartans come with a physicality, the aggression, the fear factor, and it's like we've got to find a way to overcome that. And don't get me wrong, we play against physical and aggressive teams, and we can do it. But I think when you play teams like Spartans, who've played us a few times, they know how we play, and they know how to get under our skin, and we've got to have a plan B or C, against that. And I think, yeah, so that knocked us quite a bit. And we were meant to play UTR, but then they were in the Kent Cup, so we didn't get to play UTR. Fair enough. We were meant to play Dons first game of the season, but then the Queen died. So, obviously the weekend football was postponed, so we didn't get to play them. So yeah, I would say it's been good so far. We haven't had the best of starts, but we're looking forward to it, man. We're looking forward to every game, win or lose. It's going to be a good challenge. I hope we do well, and I'm sure we will do well. But at the same time, we've got to turn up to games better. If I'm honest with you, there's a lot we can improve on as a club, and we're working behind the scenes. But like I said, we can put everything in place. But if the players aren't willing to do it, then yeah, man, you ain't going to be seeing the best of results from Saha.
Hmm. And where do you see your business going in the next 3 to 5 years?
I've got something in the pipeline at the moment, and it's which one of the two paths to go down, and I think that will be the next step for Sport and Health because we work in quite a few schools. We offer our sports services to a lot of the schools we work in, and we're extremely busy, so we're always recruiting. But for us is now, how do you then take it to the next step? And the only next two steps are franchising, or if you open up operationally in different cities in the UK. So I'm exploring either of those options with Sport and Health Academy, because I feel like now, we do well in London, but the UK is huge. We also have a branch in Manchester as well, which is going well. So we work in quite a few schools, colleges, and stuff in Manchester. So Manchester and London, but it's like there's other cities I want to try and target where I feel would have a big impact: Birmingham, Leeds, Liverpool, Newcastle. But then is that viable for us as a partnership or a franchise? So that's what I'm exploring over the next year or so. So fingers crossed, things put into place, but just got to make sure things are running tight before we do all of that as well.
That's amazing. And if like someone wants to kind of get a hold of you, get a hold of Saha, where can they find you?
Shout me, man. I mean, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. They can drop a message, DM, if they want to speak, or if they want to ask any questions or anything. I'm more than happy to ask any questions, or give any advice, support for anyone, man. That's always what I've been about, because like I said, going back to our growing up, we needed the support, we needed the help, we needed the advice. And that's one thing that's taught me in life is, always try and offer your help, support, and guidance to people. Because you don't know when on the flip side, it is required. And on the flip side for us, it was needed with us growing up. So now, like, I'm always open to helping people, Tabrice, like, if anyone needs anything, I'm there, man. So yeah, just shout us, man, on social media, and I'll be more than happy to chat to whoever, man, or answer any questions or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say that when we first met, you and the team were so warm and friendly and accommodating, because you like see me for the first time with a camera, and like again you kind of welcome me in, and like that was actually when you did your ACL. Oh, was it your?
Yeah. I just done it. Yeah, so I did it literally like 3 weeks before I first met you.
Yeah,
man.
I still
that
remember
was
that.
a journey and a half.
Yeah. So again, like you were just so warm and so welcoming. So again, I just want to, I want to kind of go on video and like say thank you for that.
As a club, that's what we're about. We're open, we're always welcoming to new players and people that want to join the management. It doesn't matter on age or what have you, So yeah, man, I invite, or I would tell anyone to come and watch and be part of the team, because that's what we're about, man. That is what we're about.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Loks, so much for kind of coming on to like the show. Again, to anyone out there, please like, subscribe to the Saha YouTube channel, Instagram, and please share exactly what this club is all about. Absolutely amazing. And again, guys, please like and share the Amateur Football platform as well. We're one of the official media partners in the Sunday Football League, and we'll see you next week, Friday.